Good evening. I'm your host, Karen Hudis. Welcome to DCTV's series on the network of global corporate control that was pre-recorded. This segment is about the Jesuits. Thanks to DCTV, to Carmen Stanley, studio producer and director, to Maurice Jackson, audio and teleprompter. On Saturday, the 10th of December, Bengt Carlson wrote, "Dear Karen, is there no debate in the U.S. about why the Department of Homeland Security is a Jesuit organization when we know that the Jesuits killed both Kennedy and Lincoln?" And we have a clip showing how the Department of Homeland Security is actually run by the Jesuits. The Jesuits have been kicked out of more than 83 countries. U.S. Congress ended diplomatic relations with the Holy See in 1867 after Lincoln's assassination. In 1984, when John Hinckley shot Reagan, Reagan reestablished diplomatic relations with the Vatican. On the 13th of December, a tweet of mine on behalf of the 189 ministers of finance and development on the Board of Governors of the World Bank and IMF, confirming that we are in the global currency reset, went viral. Donald Trump is not the legitimate president of the United States when the Constitution of 1789 is not in effect. There is no electoral college to vote Donald Trump into office. It's clear that Donald Trump's presidency was meant to perpetuate the banking cartel. The banking cartel is no longer in control. Donald Trump has refused to confirm the truth that the Constitution of 1789 has been suspended by Congress. Donald Trump is a puppet of the Vatican and the banking cartel. The bloodline families that rule from the Octagon in Switzerland are in control of the Jesuits and the Vatican. The Russians have always resisted the Jesuits. The Russians lost more than 25 million people in World War II. Moscow State University maintains the Chronologia project, which shows how Jesuits tried to falsify our ancient history. And episode 40 of Betsy Banfield's blog was about Nick Blaine, and it is devoted to the Chronologia project. And people send me a lot of information, and someone who I'm naming Sophie showed me on the internet how Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump have been just showing their allegiance to their puppet masters, the Jesuits, and they went to a big party in order to show their allegiance on October the 14th. And I also wanted to tell you that the Black Pope has now been replaced. Let's be clear, I'm not talking about the Catholic faith or parish priests that know nothing about the Jesuits. Many Catholic people are working with us to root out the evil which we are exposing today. The sad facts of the matter are that the Vatican has been the major player in the geopolitical area for many centuries, and for the past 4 centuries, the Jesuits order, operating from within the Vatican, has been the major player in both the geopolitical arena and the theological area, and a very big player through its Knights of Malta in the financial arena and in the international intelligence community. And some of the people that I've been learning from have been telling me about how they're finding the footsteps and fingerprints of the Vatican, and more specifically its Jesuit order, involved in the most evil activities. The Jesuits order is also known as the Society of Jesus, and sometimes it's referred to as the Company. It's headed by the Superior General, which is also referred to as the Black Pope, and that's the most formidable enemy to religious and civil liberty that the world has probably ever seen. The Jesuits became so infamous in Europe for causing wars and revolutions and for assassinating heads of state that they were expelled from 83 countries, city-states, and cities by 1931. And it's also Roman Catholic monarchs who have been expelling them. The Jesuit Superior General, the Black Pope, not only controls his powerful Jesuit order, but also controls the powerful Knights of Malta, top-level Knights of Columbus, and the top levels of Freemasonry. Through his control of the top levels of secret societies, especially Knights of Malta and high-level Freemasons, he controls the top agencies of the world. A good example of this occurred in World War II. The top intelligence man in the Office of Special Studies, which was later named the CIA, was the Knight of Malta, William Wild Bill Donovan. And the top intelligence man in Nazi Germany on the Eastern Front was German Knight of Malta, General Reinhard Gehlen. And the top intelligence man in the Soviet Union was Knight of Malta, Prince Anton Turkul, who used Jesuit priests for his couriers. Thus, the Jesuit order was in control of the major combatants and able to steer the war in directions they wanted, and in the process to slaughter millions of their favorite targets, including Jews, Protestants, and Orthodox Christians. Additionally, because of his control of the Vatican hierarchy through his Jesuit order and P2 Masonry, the Jesuit Superior General also has control and use of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. That is the Office of Inquisition, the Roman Curia, and Vatican finances, which are substantial. If all this doesn't make the Black Pope the most powerful man on the face of the earth, I do not know what would. And secret societies, most particularly the Jesuit order with its Knights of Malta and top-level Freemasons, must be exposed and removed from our shores, or America will survive. This is written by Daryl Aberhart in 2005, who was the editor of Tackling the Tough Topics and Examining the Tough Issues newsletters. And there, in the teleprompter, there are links to those sources. The Civil War of 1861 to 1865 would never have been possible without the sinister influence of the Jesuits. We owe it to popery that we now see our land reddened with the blood of her noblest sons. Though there were great differences of opinion between the South and the North on the question of slavery, neither Jeff Davis, President of the Confederacy, nor anyone, the leading men of the Confederacy, would have dared to attack the North had they not relied on the promises of the Jesuits that under the mask of democracy, the money and arms of the Roman Catholic, even the arms of France, were at their disposal if they would attack us. I pity the priests, the bishops, and monks of Rome in the United States when the people realize that they were in great part responsible for the tears and the blood shed in this war. I conceal what I know on that subject from the knowledge of the nation, for if the people knew the whole truth, this war would turn into a religious war, and it would at once take a tenfold more savage and bloody character. It would become merciless, as all religious wars are. And this is a statement from Lincoln. The Protestants of both the North and the South would surely unite to exterminate the priests and the Jesuits if they could hear what Professor Samuel B. Morse, editor and U.S. inventor of the telegraph, has said to me of the plots made in the very city of Rome, i.e. at the Vatican, to destroy this republic, and if they could learn how the Roman Catholic priests, the nuns, and the monks which daily land on our shores, under the pretext of preaching their religion, instructing the people in their schools, taking care of the sick in the hospitals, are nothing else but the emissaries of the Pope, of Napoleon, and the other despots of Europe, to undermine our institutions, alienate the hearts of our people from our Constitution and our laws, destroy our schools, and prepare a reign of anarchy here, as they have done in Ireland, in Mexico, in Spain, and wherever there are any people who want to be free. And what follows is the full quote of Samuel Morse, which was taken from some of the experts that I mentioned. Let us examine the operations of this Austrian society, the St. Leopold Foundation, for it is hard at work all around us, yes, here in this country, that is the United States, with its headquarters in Vienna, Austria, under the immediate direction and of Austrian Prince Metternich. It makes itself already felt through the American Republic. Its emissaries are here, and who are these emissaries? They are Jesuits. This Roman Catholic society of men, after exerting their tyranny for upwards of 200 years, at length became so formidable to the world, threatening the entire subversion to all social order, that even the Pope, that is Clement XIV, whose devoted subjects the Jesuits are and must be, by the vow of their society, compelled to dissolve them in 1773. They hadn't been suppressed, however, for 50 years before the decreasing influence of popery and despotism required their useful labors to resist the light of democratic liberty, and the Pope, that's Pius VII, simultaneously with the formation of the Holy Alliance in Europe, revived the order of the Jesuits in all their power, and Pope Pius VII restored the Jesuit order in 1814 in exchange for his release from prison, where he had spent 5 years under Jesuit persuasion. And do Americans need to be told what Jesuits are? If any are ignorant, let them inform themselves of their history without delay. No time is to be lost. Their workings are before you in every day's events. They are a secret society, a sort of Masonic order with superadded features of revolting odiousness and 1,000 times more dangerous. They're not merely priests or priests of one religious creed. They're merchants and lawyers and editors and men of any profession, having no outward badge in this country, i.e. the USA, by which to be recognized. They're about in all your society. They can assume any character, that of angels of light or ministers of darkness, to accomplish their one great end, the service upon which they are sent, whatever that service may be. The Jesuits are highly educated men, prepared and sworn to start at any moment and in any direction, and for any service, commanded by the general of their order, that is, the Jesuit Superior General, the Black Pope, bound to no family, community, or country by the ordinary ties which bind men, and sold the soul to the cause of the Roman Pontiff. In just a matter of time, as more evidence of the conspiracy falls apart, the 9/11 conspiracy, I believe concrete evidence will surface that will allow us to see the failed coup d'etat of 9/11 masterminds were none other than the Black Pope and the black-robed priests who serve as the double agents for the Caesar of Rome. Many wonder today why the Republican Party does nothing to defeat the treasonous schemes of the Democrats. It's because the Pope's Jesuits have thoroughly infiltrated the Republican Party as well as the Democratic Party. Many wonder why the news media lies so much to support and protect the Democrats. It's because the Pope's Jesuits have thoroughly infiltrated the news media. The news media and schools and colleges, with their lies and propaganda, have so conditioned the people of the country that they're unable to recognize what's been done to them. Victory for the Jesuits seems very near. The Jesuits are like a cancer that has pervaded nearly every fiber of the society of the United States. We're being defeated by the enemy within. For many years, the Jesuits have prevented the United States from developing additional sources of energy within its own territory, exploiting the vast oil fields on the Alaskan North Slope that probably contain more oil than the entire Middle East is forbidden. New nuclear power plants, the safest source of electric energy ever discovered, are not permitted. There's no end to the lies people have been made to believe about nuclear energy. The environment is used as the club to subdue the people of the country into going along with this idiocy. Modern technology is able to develop these sources of power without any damage to the environment. Needless to say, without sufficient energy, the United States will not be able to defend itself. All the papacy has to do is cut off the oil supply from the Middle East. The United States is now starting to feel the pinch of the energy shortage the Jesuits have created. People have experienced blackouts over large areas as power is shut off to stay within the limits of generating capacity. Today, instead of constructing additional nuclear power plants, some of these plants are being dismantled. Will the people of the U.S. be able to wake up in time to prevent the coming national tragedy? Not only in the United States is this treachery being perpetrated by the papacy, but they're secretly at work all over the world in subverting all the nations of the world, as we read earlier from Charles Chinque's book. The papacy's slaughter of Christians continues to this day. Since the papacy is a small country with little military capability, they always beguile other nations to do their fighting for them. Today, the United States is their favorite bully. Thus, they're never directly involved, and people do not realize who is behind the wars, the trouble, and the terrorism. Avro Manhattan's book, The Vatican Holocaust, describes in detail the papacy's continuing slaughter of millions of Christians in the 20th century. At the time of this writing, the complete text of the Vatican's Holocaust is available on the internet for downloading. The slaughter in Bosnia, Kosovo, Serbia, Croatia, and others is a direct result of the Vatican's involvement in this area, but you will never hear about it because the Jesuit-controlled news media not only refuses to mention it, but they lie about the situation to keep the papacy from being suspected of her true involvement. The Jesuits seem to have a code that guides their every action. That code is, call your enemy what you are, and always tell the exact opposite of the truth. This makes it very difficult to counter their lies and explain clearly and understandably what they're actually doing. Jesuits helped to start 2 world wars, World War I and World War II. In every major worldwide event, such as civil wars, world wars, revolutions, rebellions, terrorism, assassinations, political, social, and all kinds of turmoils or chaos, the Jesuits are the orchestrator. Many historians and writers, such as Eric John Phelps, Avro Manhattan, Albert Rivera, John Loftus, Edmund Paris, Darrell Eberhardt, David Goyette, Alexander James, Charles Chinquy, Jose Rizal, and others point their finger to the Jesuits and the Vatican as the culprits. The Jesuits are also the culprits and detonated the atomic bomb blast in Hiroshima during the closing end of World War II. The Jesuits are also the culprits for the sinking of the Titanic, killing John Jacob Astor on board, who is against the creation of the Federal Reserve Bank, a privately owned bank, and Jesuits' boys' satanic bloodlines meeting better known as the creatures of the Jekyll Island. The Roman Catholic Church is a mere continuation of the Roman Empire. Julius Caesar, Nero, Constantine, Augustus, Caesar, etc. And the Jesuit order is the old Roman Empire Praetorian Guard, where Nazi SS was patterned from the Jesuit order. Nazi notorious General Reinhard Gehlen trained and created the CIA and the Israeli Masonic Zionist Mossad. In the Philippines, the Light of Fire movement during Marcos's regime was led by Ed Oliger and masterminded by the Jesuit order. Father Romeo Archie Intangen and Norberto Gonzalez, GMA's national security advisor, the 9/11 terrorist attack was ordered by the Jesuit general Count Peter Hans Kolvenbach. The Masonic Osama bin Laden praised the attack allowed by the traitor to the American people George Bush, a member of the secret society Skull and Bones. Inside the Bohemian Grove, the Jesuits practiced satanic rituals. The Jesuit order are also sorcerers, like Ignatius Loyola, who was the founder of the Jesuit order, according to Alberto Rivera, a former Jesuit priest. The heroes of communism, Marx and Engels, who wrote the Communist Manifesto in the 1880s, were actually coached and directed by Jesuit priests. The Communist Party was formed for the task of destroying the protector of the hated Orthodox Church, the Tsar of Russia. It was for revenge. The Communist Party was financed in secret by agents of Rome, the Illuminati, in order to create another power that was a servant of the Vatican. Before World War I, a large group of wealthy Jews was trying to gain control over Jerusalem. This made the Vatican very angry. The Vatican had been wanting to move to Jerusalem for a long time, since Christianity had started there. These Jews that were fighting against the Vatican's plans were to be made to pay for their stubbornness. The Vatican constructed a plan to destroy the European Jews and turn the world against them. The Vatican directed some Jews that were loyal to the Catholic Church to write an article called the Protocols of Zion. This document would pave the way for the coming Jewish Holocaust, even if it would also cause the deaths of many Roman Catholics. In the early 1900s, France made the Vatican angry by making a political deal with the Tsar of Russia. Previously, France had dumped its Catholic king and had become a republic. This also made the Vatican angry. In the meantime, the Orthodox Church was spreading throughout Bulgaria, Romania, Greece, part of Turkey, and Serbia and Yugoslavia. The Vatican wanted to bring France to its knees and also stop the religious competition in the Balkans. The solution to these problems was simple. The Jesuits would start World War I. The Pope was backing Germany, so when the Catholic Kaiser asked the Vatican if it could expand Germany's borders, Pope Pius X and the Jesuits gave him their blessings and permission. Germany started fighting France, and treaties pulled more nations into the conflict. Germany was fighting France, England, Russia, and the United States. Millions died. Many were Roman Catholic. In 4 years of bloody war, even while men were still dying in World War I, the Jesuits were already busy preparing World War II and a new Catholic Inquisition, the Holocaust. In July 1919, when the Allies were signing the Treaty of Versailles at the end of World War I, they were so angry at the Vatican for starting the war that they refused to recognize the Vatican as a political power anymore and kept them away from the conference table. In Russia, the Empress, the wife of Tsar Nicholas, told Rasputin, a monk, where the Tsar's gold was hidden. Rasputin told this information to the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church. The Jesuits worked closely with Marx, Engels, Trotsky, Lenin, and Stalin while they were carefully preparing for the Russian Revolution. The Jesuits secretly moved their gold into Russia to finance this, using their key men. They believed that communism would rise up as a new strong daughter of the Vatican. The Russian Revolution succeeded, and the Tsar was forced to abdicate. Thank you for listening to another segment of the Network of Global Corporate Control. The Jesuits have been trying to bring the United States down ever since the Civil War, which they caused, and subjugate the rest of the world too. In this segment, we have exposed the Jesuits. There is no place left for them. Until next week, I'm your host, Karen Hudis.